Welcome back, Tiger fans, to Rockin' Radio's football podcasts. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Nathan Hurst. This is a safe space. It's before the box score. Sad dad edition. We're all sad. Nathan, how sad are you?
I'm pretty sad. I'm more disappointed than sad. But and if your dad is more disappointed in you than sad, then that actually feels worse, I think. So
it does.
As a dad, a disappointed dad, yeah, disappointed, too frustrated to mad a day ago, but it's been 36 hours, 30 hours since the game. So it's at least that sharp anger has subsided somewhat.
Yeah. And disappointment doesn't feel good for the dad either. Like, that's legit.
No.
It feels crappy for everybody. Feels bad for you for screwing up, and if dad's just sad too. Like, it's disappointment. It's not good. So yeah, that's where we're at. Missouri lost 27-24 to Alabama. I thought they would lose by 3 points. It didn't happen in the manner in which I thought it did. Really, most of that game did not happen in the way that I thought it would. But I did think they'd lose, so that's on me, I guess. Sorry. Yeah, there's been a lot of feelings. I'll be frank. I had forgotten how vitriolic Missouri fans can get in a loss. It's been a while. I forgot how indignant they can be about losses, which is good. I put that on social media yesterday, and I meant it as a compliment. College football is powered by emotion. Sports in general, our fandom certainly is, but certainly college football, when you only have 12 of these things, 13, 15 if you're super lucky. And I remember when losses would be like, that sucks. So the fact that we were riled up, that the fan base was upset and hurt, and lashing out, maybe the targets weren't appropriate, but the emotion, that's what you're looking for. You want these things to hurt because that means it matters. That means your team is good. That means that you're bought in, and it's not an outcome that is acceptable to you. So I think that's great. Listening to the post game conferences with Drink's always a very sore loser, which you want in a coach, but the players definitely reflected that as well. So I think this is fine. This is part of it. We're also in 2025, where one loss does not remove you from national championship contention, so it's okay. But I guess, Hurst, what was your biggest takeaway from the very close loss to Alabama yesterday?
The biggest takeaway was that Mizzou was right there, able to win the game. They were in it blow for blow with Alabama, a team that is perennially top 10 in recruiting, top 5, top 3 in recruiting in terms of the talent that they have. It certainly didn't play out the way that we looking at the stats ahead of time, you'd expect it to play out. But I'm going to be honest, the way it played out, at least the way that Alabama chose to play, or the way that Mizzou made them play on from a defensive side of the ball, is the way I said that they needed to do to win the game. Mm-hmm. They did it. They kind of forced Alabama to run. Alabama did run. They ran okay. They did all those things, and the offense wasn't good enough to overcome that. Now, did the defense make some mistakes? Did they do some things that could have been better? Yes, absolutely. But they played good enough to win this game, which was really frustrating, because talking about it before the game, thinking about it, that was what we thought was going to cost this team the game potentially, was a defense that would be getting gouged through the air, and that didn't happen. They really honestly didn't get gouged in any capacity. They did give up some long drives, but there were no massive explosive plays. If you told me Ty Simpson finished the game with 200 passing yards, I would have told you that Mizzou wins easily. Not easily in that 3 scores or anything, but I would easily say that Mizzou was going to win that game.
It'd be very normal outcome for you to think, yes, Missouri won that game. Yes.
And then the fact that, did Alabama rush for 250 yards? No, they didn't. They rushed for 126, which is more than Mizzou has given up so far this year, but that's still a perfectly reasonable amount of rushing yards to allow an Alabama team. So those two statistics combined, that is good enough to get a win. But the offensive side of the ball was not up to the task, and that's what was frustrating. It's because that's what we thought they should have been able to do, and it wasn't the case.
Yeah, Missouri was right there. They had it. That is the frustrating part. I don't feel like I hear a lot of that. Obviously, you're always going to hear the more negative, and especially on social media. My God, like you're never going to hear a good thing about anything anywhere on any social media platform. From people I talk to, I think your assessment is pretty common with the people that I talk to. Frustrating. They're right there. Like, man, you had them. You had them. But the zeitgeist seems to be more along the lines of Kirby Moore screwed up. The offense was shambolic. The play calling was terrible. The execution was off. The things that you lash out about. And I think my big takeaway was that Alabama threw down a big old Uno reverse card and beat Mizzou at Mizzou's game. And I didn't think they could do that. I didn't think they wanted to do that. I didn't think they had it in them. But they were held under their season average and rushing success rate. It was 40%, which is not good. They were 35% yesterday. That's terrible. Their season long success rate throwing the ball was 50%. Wait, let me make sure. Yep, 51.5%. Right, and then in the game yesterday, they were at 45.7%. Okay, so Mizzou's defense actually held them below their season success rates. That's a good defense. That's huge. You got the turnover. You held them to a couple field goals. One of them was missed. They were havocy. They were disruptive. Sacked Ty Simpson 4 times. Defense was everything you wanted to be. And on the flip side, was Missouri as efficient as they usually are? No, they were not. But it was working. That's the wild part. Everyone seems to forget the part where it was actually working for most of the game. But what the issue that you ran into is that Alabama held the ball for like 40 minutes. They ran 30 more plays than Mizzou did. Again, that's the big old Uno reverse. That's how Mizzou beats teams. That's not how Alabama beats teams. And I don't watch it anymore, but a Family Guy in its heyday had one of my favorite jokes of all time, where it's a guy who's in jail, and he's got a knife, and he's in there for murder. And he looks at the knife, and he pokes it. He goes, "Oh, ow, ow! This is what I've been doing to people? Oh, I belong in here. I belong in here." And that's how it felt like being a Mizzou fan. I'm like, oh, that's what it feels like to get ground into dust and be outpossessed and outplayed, like from a number of plays run. That's what it feels like. Oh, that sucks. Oh, and there's the Mizzou defense did enough. The offense was really close. It's just at the end of the day, you were 3 points short.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
I don't think the offense was as close as you might think. One of the biggest reasons that Alabama was able to hold the ball for 40 minutes is the offense would not stay on the field.
Third
They
downs were a
had,
problem. Yeah.
they were horrible on third downs, fourth downs. They went for the fake punt, which I'm fine with. We can talk about that a little more if you want to, but I was fine with that call in the moment. He probably actually got it. Now, it was not the smartest thing in the world to run that call to the short side of the field when
Never is, but they keep doing it.
Can't get there. They also ran a different short yardage play with their actual offense to the short side of the field. That once again didn't work because they didn't have any room with the sideline. I don't know why offenses do that. It's not solely. It's not a Mizzou thing. It's a strange college football thing. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that's beside the point. I don't think the offense was that close, and the defense played amazingly well to keep it where it was. But the number of 3 and outs is what is the reason why Alabama had the ball so long, because they would go 3 and out, punt it, Alabama gets the ball. And as you said, that's how Mizzou plays. That's how in the past, how this defense has been really good, is to get those 3 and outs to get the ball back to the offense. And it's a complementary way of playing football. Mizzou defense was not able to get a whole lot of 3 and outs. Mizzou's offense did a lot. And then, those 3 and outs were often 3 straight pass plays, which boggles the mind, especially, Bo Pubula did not have a good day. This loss isn't solely on him, but he played pretty poor, certainly his worst game of the season. And that's going to happen when you play a really good defense like Alabama has. But even so, it was clear midway through the second quarter that he was going to have a hard day. And yet the play calls were still very, very pass heavy despite that. Especially in the second half when we had multiple 3 and outs where there were at least 2 drives where it was just pass, and incomplete, incomplete, and then like a 4 yard dump off, things like
Mm,
that. So Ahmad Hardy getting 4 touches in the second half is a crime. Jamal Roberts getting 5 total carries. 4 of those were actually real carries. The fifth was the fake punt. Um, that's a crime. That's only 17 carries for your really good running backs, potentially the best two running backs as a tandem in the SEC, and you're only giving the ball 17 times total. Really, what happened is they fell into the exact same trap that Vanderbilt did last week. I don't know why. I don't know what little magic dust that Alabama sprinkles on them, but at least Vanderbilt was down a couple, like 14 points at some point, and it kind of felt like they had to pass their way back in. Mizzou was never. I mean, at one point they were down 10, and that was but that was way into the fourth quarter at the very end. Before that, they were never down. Out after the end of the first half, they were never down by 2 scores. They had no reason to panic and throw the ball over and over again, especially when it wasn't even working. They abandoned the run inexplicably. And were they gashing Alabama on the ground? No, but they were certainly that they were going to be setting up manageable third downs, and they didn't do that. Instead, they settled for incompletion, and then you're looking at a third and long multiple times that they were not able to convert.
okay. Well, I mean, to a certain extent, they were bad on third down. I don't know if it's all in the running game though, right? So like in third down situations, they called 4 runs and 7 passes. Their average third down distance was 6.5. Okay, so you're averaging 3rd and 6. You're probably not running in that situation. And they still called 4 run plays and 7 pass plays. They had, what is it? 3rd and 4 was a pass. 3rd and 8 was a pass. 3rd and 3 was a pass. Okay, 3rd and 4 was an interception. 3rd and 11 was a pass. 3rd and 6 was a pass, but then we had 3rd and 1 run, 3rd and 3 run, none of which they got, by the way. 3rd and 8 was a run, 3rd and 3 was a run, 3rd and 4 was a run. So, I mean, they tried to mix it up, and like even on the 3 and outs, I mean, I know if it always feels like everything's so stupid in a 3 and out, but like the first one, Hardy run 3, incomplete pass to Johnson because it was broken up. Their second 3 and out, Hardy run 2, incomplete to Manning, Prebula run for 1 yard. They had another one.
Which that was a scramble. A lot of those Pavila runs are just scrambles that
Four of them were, yeah. 4 of the run plays that he had were actual pass plays called. You're absolutely right there. I think the biggest one, the one that I circled, I didn't really have a problem with the play calling until what was it? 9 minutes and 19 seconds left in the fourth quarter. It is 20-17.
They just forced
Missouri
the missed
has
field
it
goal.
on their 31.
Yeah, they just forced
Alabama
that
just missed the field goal, and I go, it's 9 minutes, 19 seconds. It's Hardy time. I think I even put it on Twitter. It's Hardy time.
Yeah.
And what do? Prebula gets sacked. Then he has a dump off to Hardy for 1 yard, and then the pass to Roberts for 7, and then the 4th down attempt. That's really the only time that I felt like I don't get what you're doing here. And at that point, Ahmad Hardy had his 12 rushes at that point. I don't think it was absurd to keep him, kind of, hey, we're going to unleash you in the fourth quarter. Like, I'm fine if that's your game plan, especially since it was still close at that time. But then they didn't do it. And then the next time you had the ball, you had 1:17. Like, I don't know why he was not called on at that point. That's the one that confuses me the most.
Yeah, that's the one that caught my ire in the moment as well, and then even caused me to go back and wait, how many times has he even touched the ball today? And at that point, it had only been 12, and he didn't touch it again the rest of the game. And Roberts only had one more carry, and that was the fake punt.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly after that, you're not going to run the ball because you're in hurry up 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So that, toss those out. They did, but that also is those last 2 drives account for more than half of Pabula's total passing yards. So
103 of them. Yeah,
you can't even
absolutely.
look at his passing total, which is sparse, and think that even that was legitimate, because a lot of it was just prevent defense. And he did make a couple nice throws in those drives, but there wasn't. You can't look at that and say that that's indicative of how the passing offense was all day, because it was not. He was pressured a lot, so but when he wasn't pressured, he was really struggling to stay in the pocket to keep his eyes downfield. He got
Yeah.
really happy feet, um, and there were multiple times where he sailed throws or rolled out before he needed to, and then there was nobody there because by that point you're way off on the sideline and there's nothing to throw to. So it was just it was a tough day all around. And I don't think the offensive line helped him out a ton, as I said, but they weren't as bad as the production showed it to be.
See, and that's I think the biggest issue. He did not show up in the stat sheet, but what was his name? Tim Keenan was their defensive tackle, Alabama's defensive tackle that just came back from injury. I think he was the key to that because a lot of that pressure was right up the middle. And something the quarterback hates more than anything is pressure up the middle. And you saw him like pirouette and like disappear in a scrum and then pop out the other side. And he's like, "Oh my god, my ass is on fire! I got to go." And it's because that pressure was coming straight up the middle. And he had nowhere to go. I thought Caden Green did well in pass protection. Is coming off of an injury. I thought Keegan Trost continues to over deliver on what I thought he could do. But that pressure was up the middle from Piegler, from Tollison, from Jadice. Like there's a lot of havoc coming his way, and he had to move a lot. And I think some of those scrambles, well, I don't know. I haven't gone back and like noticed. I like this scramble versus not, but a lot of those were forced because there was pressure coming up the middle, and he had to get somewhere. That forced the bad Johnson throw. That forced one of the bad interceptions. A couple of those throwaways. In a game that you lose by 3, and really it is within a game of 3 points, basically right up until the end. Those things matter. And I understand that you gotta, you want to run your guy more, but I thought I had no problem with it until that point. And even if, seeing the number of carries, I mean, they had 30% of the total plays in this game, right? That's what the Hardy and Roberts carries represent. 30% of all plays run for Missouri against Alabama. Go back to the power teams. Against South Carolina, they were 40% of the total plays. Against Kansas, they were 39% of the total plays. So it's, again, it was lower, but it wasn't like they abandoned it completely, not like South Carolina did a couple weeks ago. It was still there. It's just they ran 9 plays in the first quarter, 7 plays in the third quarter, and then by the time you got to the fourth, you had to throw to keep him in line, and it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, they just were not efficient enough on third down. They weren't efficient enough on any of their downs because of all those third downs you just ran off. All of I think 9 of the 10-ish were 3rd and 4 or longer. There's maybe one or two that were 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. They didn't even convert those anyway. But first and second down they failed as well to make those third downs even manageable. And then on 3rd and 8, Purvula just was not playing well enough to be able to convert those, and that's what killed him.
Yeah. So I'm counting it up. It looks like we've got, because I know I gave you the average, but 6 of them were under 4 yards, and they converted none of those. Well, they converted one of those. All the others were over 10. So yeah, they did not do well enough on third down, which again has been the secret sauce to how that offense wins, because they sit on the ball and they keep the offense out of line. Now, even saying all that, even with a C- offensive effort, if you want to give it that, they were still in a position to win the game at the end, which is bonkers to me.
Because the defense did not give up any explosive plays, minus the 1 4th down and 8 where they gave up that 30-yard pass, which that was an incredible play by Alabama.
That's a Heisman play.
And that's where you just tip your cap and say, "Sir, you made a great throw. The receiver made a great catch." And that's the way it goes. But back to Alabama beating Missouri at Missouri's game. That's how Missouri plays or wants to play, is convert third downs, and on defense get off the field fast by shutting them down on third down. They couldn't. That's the one thing the defense could not do, was get off the field on third down. Or when they did get them to 4th down, they couldn't stop them on 4th down either. So, and a lot of that was just Alabama making plays and making really good play calls. There was another 4th and short in the 4th quarter. That great play call to roll out and have the running back right there, and he kind of. And Khalil Jacobs played it great. I mean, he did everything he could, but he was one man trying to guard 2. And he made the right choice, which is to go right at Simpson and force him to throw it. And he kind of had to, just toss it out there to Jam Miller, who made the catch and got the first down. And that was just a really good play call and a good execution as well. But it was just a good play call.
Look, man, when the best player on the field is your quarterback, you're probably going to win the game.
Yeah.
And yesterday, Ty Simpson was the best player on the field. He played quarterback for Alabama. They won the game. He made really good throws. He made really good decisions. He was elusive. Still got smacked around a little bit, but like when they needed him, he delivered, and that was it. That was it. So, yeah, it was not great. His first loss since the LSU game in 2023 against a Heisman winning quarterback and some awesome receivers. Um, yeah, that's where we're at. But the good news is that this isn't the end of the season. Um, I put out there yesterday, kind of at the end of the game, just fired off a quick thought, and a lot of people kind of took it the wrong way, and you know, shame on me for not picking my words carefully. Like Missouri can still win all the games and make it to the playoff. Sure, maybe they can lose two, and still make it. Maybe, maybe not. I think they're probably going to lose more than two games, though. Frankly, just the way this team plays, especially on the road. Like we got a blueprint now, but yeah, if you want this loss by itself does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. It's what happens after this loss that's going to determine what Missouri does in the postseason. You got two tough road games, and then another tough two home games, and then another two tough road games, and that's going to decide where this goes. Not the Alabama loss. What those games? That's what's going to determine it. And I don't know. Eli Drinkwitz is obviously a big culture guy. He's done a good job of circling the wagons and keeping the team bought in previous seasons. Here's where that gets tested, because you just took a tough L at home, and now you're going on the road for the first time this season against a salty team that has not gotten a lot of breaks and is looking to get a win. And you can't lose twice, and I don't know if they will, but this Alabama loss stains. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. There is a lot more to go. And I do think it'll set up where a 10-2 SEC team, regardless of what their schedule is, will get into the playoff. But as it stands now, I mean, I also think a 10-2 SEC team there'll be at least one team in the SEC championship game that's 10-2. And I think Alabama has a real good chance of being one of those teams already. So there's no shame in losing to one of those teams, but that also means there's another open spot there. And this league is going to beat itself up every single week of the season. There's nothing to say that if Mizzou wins, all but one, maybe, one more game, one of these road games at Oklahoma, at Vanderbilt, at Auburn, whichever one it is that they drop, and they are able to win the rest. There's nothing to say that they couldn't be right there in Atlanta again. Now that's a lot. They have a lot of work to do to get there, but this loss does not cross anything off the list of hopes and goals for the season. That's all still to be determined.
Yeah. And hey, even if you're sad, which it's okay to be, at least you're not Penn State.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you don't have to pay $50 million to buy our coach out, or who's won 40 games in the last 3 years.
I can't. Like I watched Penn State play. They're obviously very bad. I did not anticipate that happening. That was very surprising today. Okay, CBS or Fox? Where does James Franklin end up? Penn State James Franklin.
Oh, I mean, it'll definitely be Fox, but no, Fox? He seems more like a CBS guy.
I feel like he's a CBS guy. Yes, I think he's going to kill it. He is a good politician. I think he'll.
Yeah, he is kind of slimy, isn't he? He might be. Yeah. He might. Though he couldn't be on Fox because he and what's his face,
Urban Meyer.
Or Meyer together would just I don't think the camera would turn on if they were both on the same. That's it. He's the type of guy that his ego's too big. He's going to coach again. Steven.
Totally.
It may be next year.
Oh, totally.
It may very well be next year. So
this is a guy who flirted with every job opening to get himself a raise at Penn State. Like he is going to coach again. The thing is that the stank of what happened at Penn State over the past couple of years is like, I don't know. Do our program builders still value like culture guys? Because he will raise your floor, but that's a lot easier to do in the portal era now than I think more people can do it. I don't know. Is there another power program that will take him now? Probably not. But 3 years from now, when we all kind of forgot, I can see it.
Arkansas. Would he want that job? I don't know.
That is a fish out of water. Oh my God.
They would probably want him, and that's a. You could think, hey, look, I could take $20 more million to Arkansas when they fire me in 3 years. Why not? Maybe Vanderbilt hires Clark, or someone hires Clark Lee away from Vanderbilt, and he goes back.
He goes back.
Goes right back there. That would be funny too.
Man.
UCLA needs a coach. He was
I could
trying to
see
get
you.
he
Yeah, he
was
likes
trying to
Las
get to
Vegas.
LA for years
Hmm.
at USC.
Yeah,
Maybe he ends up in a different way at UCLA.
yeah. He seems like an LA guy, and yeah, he's flirted with USC a ton. That makes sense. But yeah, well, it could always be worse. That's the punchline here. And get yourself a pretty good coach. No, he has not beaten a top 10 team yet. Most haven't. That's why they're top 10 teams. Gary Pinkel wasn't good at it. I'll throw that out there too. Um, but that's kind of where we're at. Is there anything that gave you hope? I mean, I'm grabbing for straws here. I really enjoyed watching Donovan Olugbenede catch
Um,
balls. I wish he had a little bit more. Maybe get some more playing time. I don't know, but that was a positive. What did you take away that you liked from this bad
I mean,
loss?
Alube was great, and as much as a positive he was, the fact that he didn't even get the ball thrown to him until fourth and 15, and they just he's apparently their Hail Mary prayer guy, which is great, and he's come through that with a couple of big catches there. But why are they waiting until then in the fourth quarter to do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
We need to find him more often. But yeah, I mean he's a stud, and he's going to be a stud. They just need to figure out how to get him on the field earlier in games.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I mean, if you look at Bill Connolly's win expectancy, they had a 70+% win expectancy in this game against Alabama, which does make it hurt that much more that they
Oh yeah,
lost.
oh yeah.
But on the flip side, they were game for Alabama was ranked number 8th. They are better than the 8th best team in the country, I think, this year. I think they're a top 5 team, and
Hmm.
they had a better than 50% chance to beat that team.
Mm-hmm.
They and they played probably combined, I would say a C+ or B- game, and they had a 70+% win expectancy in that game.
The defense
Um,
was an A. Would you
no,
say
our
A
defense was a
minus,
B+. They
B
couldn't get
plus?
off the field enough, but they played well enough to win. But the offense was a C+ or C,
I'd say
uh,
C. Yeah.
and that combined was still statistically should have good enough to win that game. Should have won that game. As those advanced stats say at the end of the game. So while that makes it sting more, it also gives hope that okay, that they're going to play one other team that's comparably as good, maybe two. Depends
A
on
and M.
it depends on how good you think A&M is and how good if what Oklahoma looks like because Mateer did not look good last week. He'll have several weeks to get better and improve. But if Mizzou plays the Oklahoma team that played Texas last week, Mizzou could very well win that game. Now, who knows what it's going to look like? That's a month away.
That is a long ways
But
away. Yeah.
they did not. That Oklahoma team did not look very good last week or last night. So um, Alabama's the best team that they will have played all year, and probably the best team they will play all year. So if they can bring a B+ overall game or an A- game to those games against A&M, at Auburn, at Vanderbilt, at Oklahoma, then they have a good chance to win those games.
Yeah.
Will they? We don't know, but they have the talent and everything that they need to win those games.
Mizzou had a lot of turnover luck yesterday. They got their turnovers. Obviously, they suffered from 2 interceptions, so maybe that was a wash at the end. But yeah, man, they they weren't on the field as much, but their offense clicked, even though they're playing left-handed basically. Better success rates than Bama. Held Bama to season lows as far as execution goes. Suffered a few glitches, fewer glitches than I anticipated, but a few, and couldn't close it out. That's it. But the style of play carries. Eli Drinkwitz rarely wins pretty, but he wins. And the SEC is a win ugly league. So you want a guy who is used to that. I know I've given a lot of grief for the way that he structures his football team and how he executes on game day, but you can't argue with the results. 26-6 now. I'd still take that. But again, these next games are going to be tough. First few road games, Auburn is feisty, Vanderbilt's a pain. Mississippi State's better than you think. Texas A&M is still dark horse playoff contender. Arkansas is dangerous with Bobby Petrino. There's no let up. Oklahoma, there's no let up. There's no let up. So you got to play well, and you have to continue to play well. Before we get out of here, revised expectations. How do you feel about this team? Where do you think they're gonna? What's their ceiling?
I mean, the ceiling is still 10-2. I think. I mean,
Still
I don't think they're
okay.
going to run the table,
Yeah.
but they can still get to 10-2, and which would get them into the playoff,
Uh-huh.
and very well could get them into Atlanta, depending on how it all rolls out and which team they lose to versus which teams they beat. As I said, this team is probably going to end up with, or this league is going to end up with 4 or 5 teams that are all right there at 9-3, 10-2.
Yeah.
And you just put them in a hat and pull out 2 names, and they're going to be just as good, just as worthy of being in the championship game as any others, perhaps other than Bama, because I think Bama has seemed to pull themselves away from the pack a little bit.
Yeah.
But 10-2 is still the ceiling. Now, is that the most likely outcome? Probably not. I think most likely outcome at this point is 9-3. I think a couple of those road games are going to be really tough.
Mm-hmm.
But that coming into the year, I fully expected an 8-4 season. So the ceiling and the expectation at this point is still higher than it was to start the year.
I think I said 8-4 before the season started. I do think 9-3 is probably more likely, just because they are better than I thought they were when I said 8-4. I was not disheartened by the loss. I was disheartened by lack of Ahmad Hardy at that second to last drive, but really everything else, I was like, look, this is a college team. They're going to have fits and starts. They're going to be dumb. They're going to be excellent. It's just, you weather the storm. And they were doing that against one of the top teams in the country. So I still feel confident about it. So yeah, 9-3 probably most likely. 10-2 certainly out there. So I'll do a little minor revision, but yeah, we'll see. And of course, we got potential recruiting news coming down the pipe. Obviously, we had the new commits that happened on game day. We'll talk about those during the midweek show, and probably another one that's coming down the pipe. But we're not going to talk about that tonight because that is the show for today. As always, we appreciate the downloads and the subscriptions. You can leave a comment or rate us. We love all types of feedback from you all. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Nate G. Edwards. He's at Burst to Hurst. And of course, you can follow the Rockham flagship at Rockham Nation and our podcasting outlet at Rockham Radio. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, MIZ.
ZOU.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.